Hi everyone, I'm Nick, and today I'm going to show you how to set up the board game Mysterium. Mysterium is a great board game with a pretty bad rulebook. So today I'm going to show you a little bit of how to set up and tear down the game in a way that makes it easier for you to play future games and lets you get to the fun part of the game. So on the Ghost side is the first part of setup. You notice here I've got my Ghost screen set up with the 3 crows on top. And the first step of setting up the Ghost is to start drawing cards. You want to figure out how many players you have. Currently I have a yellow player and a black player, so I will be setting up for 2 players, which means that for each stack I will be drawing 4 cards. This is just to make the game slightly more of a challenge. So you take the deck of cards. There's 3 blue decks of cards. We have the Ghost cards for people, locations, and objects. This is what the people deck looks like. This is the location deck, sorry for proximity, and this is the object deck. For each of these you will be drawing the number of players you have plus 2 cards. So here is my 4 cards from the player deck. Notice they all have a number on them, or in some cases a letter if you have the expansions. I then pull those same 4 cards from the other deck of cards with the same symbol on it. So you can see these are the people cards. They have the same symbol, and notice they all have the same number. There are no duplicate numbers, so even if you don't know what deck you're looking for, just look for the right numbers. So I draw those 4 cards, set them aside. Then I do the same with the location deck. So see, these are the locations, again with 4 numbers, different numbers, and I pull their oversized cards. And then with the object deck, I've preset all these just to make this go faster. And we have the object deck. These are actually small cards just because of the design of the pictures, but you can see that the numbers match up. And then you take all the brown backed cards, those would be the 2 big oversized cards and the 1 set of small cards, and you hand them over the screen to the psychics for them to set up the next portion of the game. While they're setting that up, you go to your screen here, you take 2 of the cards that you drew for each category, or more, 1 for each psychic rather, so in our case 2. You place them in the screen like this. So you can see the people go with the people symbol. It's the matching symbol on the back of the card. The other 2 you can set aside or leave visible for your own reference because they will be out on the board as well to confuse the psychics. Here's location for yellow and the location for black. And finally the objects for yellow and black. Here we go. Object for yellow and object for black. You set them up in the screen so that you can see them very easily. You can set the other 2 if you'd like in front of you like this, where you can see them for future reference, but you don't have to. That's a personal preference thing. Once you have your crows set up, also pull out these for each of the psychics in your game. These will be important in phase 2 of the game, as well as these. These are important for phase 2 of the game. The psychics by now should have done most of the setup, and they should be ready to play. So, the last step is to take your big freaking stack of dream cards and draw 7. That is 7. And they each have very weird art on them. And you take those, put those in your hand, and you're ready to start the game. So that's the setup for the Ghost, and next I'll show you the setup for the psychics. Alright, so this is the psychic setup for the Mysterium game. We showed you the Ghost setup in the last segment. I'm setting up the same game, so these are the 2 players, yellow and black. The first step is to set up these 4 cardboard pieces, well 5 pieces. This is 2 pieces put together. You see the score track is put around the question mark board. Make sure if you want a harder game, or a more fun game in my opinion, you use the 7-10 side of the track. There is also a 5-7 side, which is what we will probably use for this game because it is only a 2-player game, so it needs to be a little bit easier. Then in the order coming off of this, you want the object cards, the location cards, and the subject cards. Notice they have matching little window lining things. I don't know exactly what they're called. You're going to line those up like that. You need less space for the weapon ones than you do for the other 2. Then each of these psychics has this square chip. You're going to put that on the 0 marker of the clairvoyancy track, which is where you keep track of the score during the game. which doesn't mean much, but it does help you in the second phase of the game. Then you're going to take each person's crystal ball, place it on the start space where the suspects will go. The psychics all keep their sleeve and their 6 chips. Make sure they have all 6. Notice they have checks and X's on the one side and numbers on the other. You want the checks and X's for the first phase. The numbers are important for the second phase. The next thing the suspects have to do is build the clock. This is just a fun little construction project, but you have to disassemble it to put it in the box. So you're going to put the 2 feet on the base of the clock and then place the clock in it like this, and it forms a little standee that you will then put wherever you want in your gaming area. Sorry, my clock arm is a little bit bad, but it should be sitting at the one space. This is where you'll keep track of the turns and also where you'll put the players' chips when they use them. You'll also put the hourglass next to it. The ghost will use that more than you will, but it's better to have it on your side so you can see it. Then eventually the ghost, who is doing their own setup over there, will hand you these cards that they picked out. You can flip them over, place them where they go, so the objects go in this section between the object board and where we have the clairvoyancy track. Then we take the locations, place them out in the area between the objects and the suspects, and then place the suspects in this area. You'll have to space it out as needed, and arrange them right in front of your crystal balls where the people are sitting. And this is what your game should look like. You'll have more or less cards depending on the number of players. Once this is all set up, the ghost has drawn their cards and you're ready to begin the game. So now I'm going to show you how to put Mysterium back in the box. This is a bit of a complicated process, but I'll walk you through it. I have put all the ghost markers for the second round in this small cavity in the box. I also put the timer in this very conveniently timer-shaped section. It saves a lot of time. You then take the dream cards here, this big stack of cards. Mine's a little oversized because I have the hidden size expansion, but you stick it in this compartment. If you only have the base game, it should fit flush. Mine sticks out a little bit. Then, in this section here, notice there's a small section. You can fit the undersized object cards in there. They fit nice and neat. Again, mine flows over a little bit because of the expansion, but that's not too bad. And then you match the big size object cards on top of the small object cards so that you can get them from the same spot. You take the 3 crows and put them in this compartment here. That is where they will go. You also take the 2 clock feet from the disassembled clock, which hopefully you disassemble before you start this section. Put that in there. Then you're going to want to take your psychic pieces and sort them by color. This is just for convenience for your future games. So you take the psychic's chips, you stick them in there like that. Take their score markers, stick it in with the chips, and then take the crystal ball and put it in the compartment. And that way, everything for one psychic can easily be pulled out the next time you want to play. Just put all those away. The next step, and before you put everything in the box, one of the good things you want to do is sort out your cards. So the cards with the brown backs, including the small object cards, you want to sort them and insert the ones that you took out back in. That'll help you the next time you play, because then you can just look through the stack and find them. So in these sections, notice you have 6 psychics. If you take 3 of them, they'll fit into this compartment, flush, so that they're flat in there like that. Take the other 3, stick them in the other side, and they'll sit flush in there. Then, take the suspect cards, put them on top of one of the set of psychics. Location cards go on top of the other set of psychics. It doesn't matter which one, it's personal preference. Then take the location cards that are oversized, put them on top of the small ones. Take the suspect cards that are oversized and put them on top of the small ones. Again, so that you can just easily pull out the same cards from the same section of the box when you are setting this game up again. Then there's the fiddly cardboard bits. Just lay as many of them as you can in this section of the box. That saves you some room on the top. They didn't really design this part great, but you can get as much as you can in there. Then stick the ghost screen on. Notice how there's little notches that hold it in place. Again, mine overflows a little bit because of the ghost cards, but yours should fit flush. If you don't have the expansion, put these pieces, I generally put these on top of this because they don't really fit in that small compartment where the rest of the cardboard bits go. Then you can put your construction manual on top and put your box lid on. And that's how you put away the game Mysterium. Thank you so much for watching.